Pakistan minister's bizarre nuclear threat.
ये खूनी और आखिरी जंग होगी और एटमी जंग होगी.
Sheikh Rashid claims Pakistani nuclear bombs will not kill Indian Muslims.
एटमी जंग होगी. हमारा हथियार बहुत कैलकुलेटेड, छोटा, परफेक्ट और निशाने पे और मुसलमानों की जानें बचाते हुए उन इलाकों को टारगेट करने वाला है. असम तक पाकिस्तान टारगेट कर सकता है.
Sheikh Rashid is a serial offender, but not an isolated one.
When a nuclear-armed country fights to the end, it will have consequences far beyond the borders. It will have consequences for the world, which is why I repeat I'm here. Because I'm warning you, it's not a threat. It's a fair worry.
After the Saudi cold shoulder, Pak raises the nuclear bogey. Diversionary tactics or a sinister plot? That's our top focus on India First. It's a day of fast-paced strategic developments. After getting a cold shoulder from Saudi Arabia, Pakistan rushed its foreign minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi to China. Are Imran Khan's days numbered? Is that why Shah Mahmood Qureshi is in China, practically on a bent knee, looking perhaps for a face saver, looking for weapons, looking for money and support on Pakistan's so-called Kashmir bogey? Pakistan's controversial Federal Railways Minister Sheikh Rashid has not only threatened India with a nuclear war, but the motormouth minister says that Pakistan has perfected miniaturized nuclear weapons that will not target Indian Muslims. He of course admits that the Indian army is far superior to the Pakistan army in conventional warfare, and therefore Pakistan, according to him, has made very small, very accurate nuclear bombs that will target India all the way to Assam, but sparing Indian Muslims.
ये खूनी और आखिरी जंग होगी और एटमी जंग होगी.
Pakistan's controversial Federal Minister Sheikh Rashid has threatened India with a nuclear attack.
इंडिया ने पाकिस्तान पे हमला किया तो
एटमी जंग होगी. हमारा हथियार बहुत कैलकुलेटेड, छोटा, परफेक्ट और निशाने पे और मुसलमानों की जानें बचाते हुए उन इलाकों को टारगेट करने वाला है. असम तक पाकिस्तान टारगेट कर सकता है. वो पाकिस्तान का साइंसदान बहुत जबरदस्त है.
But the nuclear threat hides an embarrassing acknowledgement that the Pakistan army is no match to Indian armed forces. Imran's minister admits that it doesn't stand a chance if it faces India in a war.
पाकिस्तान के पास, अगर पाकिस्तान पर इंडिया ने हमला किया तो कन्वेंशन वार की कोई गुंजाइश नहीं है और ये खूनी और आखिरी जंग होगी और एटमी जंग होगी.
Rashid is known to be a motor mouth and has dropped the N-word ever so often, so casually.
अगर आप लाहौर की तरफ बढ़े तो हमने स्मार्ट बम रखे हुए हैं जो सिर्फ उन टैंकों को, उन तोपखानों को और उन फौजियों को जो पाकिस्तान पर हमला होंगे उनको उड़ाएंगे. हमारे पास हर साइज का मसाला है. हमारे पास छोटी गोली भी है चूरन की, बड़ी गोली भी है. हमारे पास हर तरह का मसाला है. आप आए सही.
But then he's only following the footsteps of his Prime Minister, who used the nuclear war threat at the United Nations General Assembly last year.
And when a nuclear-armed country fights to the end, it will have consequences far beyond the borders. It will have consequences for the world, which is why I repeat I'm here. Because I'm warning you, it's not a threat. It's a fair worry that where are we headed? And I've come here to tell the UN, you've got to. This is a test for the United Nations.
Shockingly, war threats by Pakistan's leaders come at a time when a pandemic is raging in the country and the economy is in tatters. Bureau Report, India Today.
So you've seen what Pakistan is doing, and we'll try and make sense. So Saudi Arabia gave Pakistan a cold shoulder on the Kashmir issue. Saudi Arabia told Pakistan, stop spreading terror in India, stop raking Kashmir. Pakistan instead is trying to create an alternate Muslim ummah. By the way, China is backing Pakistan on this alternate OIC with Turkey, with Malaysia, with Iran and with Qatar. Now, as Saudi Arabia refused to back Pakistan's agenda on Kashmir, pressure is increasing on Imran Khan to return the $2 billion that Saudi Arabia had given Islamabad. A desperate Imran Khan rushed Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi to Beijing. On top of agenda is perhaps to seek another loan from China to pay off the Saudi loans and seek support on Kashmir.
Snubbed by Saudi Arabia, Pakistan is now looking at China for support. 2 days after Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Salman refused to meet Pakistani Army Chief General Bajwa, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has rushed to Beijing.
मैं एक मुख्तसर एक रोज़ा बहुत अहम दौरे पर चीन के लिए रवाना हो रहा हूँ। मेरी कल वज़ीर आज़म से इस दौरे से मुतल्लिक बात हुई। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ये जो मेरा डेलीगेशन है ये पाकिस्तान की पॉलिटिकल और मिलिट्री लीडरशिप की सोच की अक्कासी करेगा।
But Qureshi did not exactly get a red carpet welcome in China. No Chinese official, no security personnel. A visibly embarrassed Qureshi had to be content with Pakistani embassy officials. Qureshi's visit to China comes after pressure from Saudi Arabia on Pakistan to pay back the remaining amount from a $2.5 billion loan the kingdom had given to Imran. This was after Qureshi's bluster on Riyadh's pro-India stance on Kashmir did not go down well with the Saudis. Last week, China gave $1 billion after Riyadh demanded immediate repayment. With the kingdom unwilling to relent, Islamabad has no option but to seek another dole from Beijing to repay back. Saudi Arabia has in the past supported Pakistan on the Kashmir issue. But in recent years, Modi government's deft diplomacy has seen a swing in the way Riyadh views the issue. Also, the kingdom is India's fourth largest trading partner, valued around $28 billion. Pakistan, on the other hand, is one of the largest recipients of dole from the kingdom. Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's try and make sense of what's happening in our region. Joining me on the show is Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain. He's former Kashmir Corps commander. He watches our region very closely. Ambassador G. Parthasarathy is former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan. General Hasnain, what do you make of Sheikh Rashid's nuclear rant of a miniaturized nuclear weapon for pinpoint strikes in India that will spare one community but target the others?
See, Gaurav, Pakistan is quite capable of inventing anything and believing in it. This has been an old rant which has always been there in Pakistan. They believe in trying to fool their own people. They've got a very good influence system. They've got the ISPR with them, but they take things to the ridiculous extent, creating this whole bogey of being able to create tactical nuclear weapons, first of all, which I still believe that there is a serious doubt whether they actually possess them. And now talking about selective nuclear weapons. I would put that into brackets as selective nuclear weapons, which can target a particular community, which can target a particular type of people, etc. I think the world will have to look at Pakistan very seriously to see where does this technology come from? Where do these developers, technological developers come from? Which universities do they belong to? Probably some of the jihadi factories in Pakistan. That's where they are created.
You know, the worry is that you have such elements in power in Pakistan who believe in such stupidity, and they may have their finger on the nuclear button. That is a reason for India and perhaps the entire world to be worried when stupid people have their finger on the nuclear button. But Ambassador Parthasarathy, Sheikh Rashid may appear to be foolish, but he is ISI's man in Pakistan government. So he's not stupid. Is he sending India a very serious, a very sinister message?
I have a completely opposite point of view. He is sending Imran Khan a message. As you rightly said, Sheikh Rashid is a nominee and a puppet of the military, whom successive governments, whether Nawaz or Imran, have to accept as a part of the cabinet. Now, Sheikh Rashid is issuing this statement just after, as you rightly said, General Raheel Sharif was snubbed in a manner which I haven't seen even a Pakistani lieutenant colonel snubbed. The man goes there like a lord and master because he's more powerful than any cabinet minister or the prime minister. He's met by nobody at the airport, and the Chinese seem to have repeated that for Qureshi. And all that he gets to see is the deputy minister for defense and the army chief. He is not even allowed to see the defense minister, leave alone the prime minister. The Saudis have sent a very, very clear message that you misread us, brother. You behave like this, we're going to make you return the money and you'll go broke. Don't forget that also Pakistan should have known that UAE, Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Arab Gulf countries which have always backed them, have changed. UAE and Saudi Arabia are investing $75 billion in building further developing the petroleum sector and our petroleum exports, petroleum product exports.
Yes.
And then the worst thing he goes and does, Imran Khan, is he threatens.
Yes.
The Saudis.
You know, which is the point I want to come to. Which is the point I want to come to, Ambassador. Pakistan is playing a very dirty game, and is Pakistan playing this game, General Hasnain, at the behest of China? China wants Pakistan to encourage an alternate Islamic Ummah with Turkey, Malaysia, Qatar, and Pakistan. So there's a game that's on, perhaps, to undermine Saudi Arabia, where Pakistan is being China's puppet, General Hasnain.
Absolutely, Gaurav, with you on that. This is what has been described as the beginning of the next Cold War. And clearly binaries are emerging in this. China wants to create that axis. China, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey. You take North Korea from one flank also along with it. This is the northern elements. The southern, of course, comes out to be the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, looking at India, Australia, Japan. Now, this is the clearly emerging demarcation of a potential Cold War. And Pakistan happens to occupy a core center, a strategic core center, geostrategically right in the center of it. And therefore, it's a very important nation. Let's not deny ourselves that. And the Chinese are going to hugely depend on them. Therefore, what has happened with Saudi Arabia is Pakistan clearly defining its preference here. Otherwise, a relationship which has been there for the better part of 70 years, in which many times the Saudis have bailed Pakistan out, only recently with $6 billion, $3 billion of loan and $3.2 billion of energy credits. All this, I mean, why would the Pakistanis go against it completely without even giving it a second thought? And the Saudis have paid back. It's not that the Saudis have attempted to try and placate them or try and play pussyfoot on this entire issue. They have made it very clear. So these are the beginnings of the new order. And the post-COVID-19 order, which started developing sometime around March.
In fact, what is very interesting is when everyone thinks that pressure is on India, is there bigger pressure on India's neighbors? Let's talk about Pakistan, Ambassador Parthasarathy, for a moment. Are we looking at a scenario where Imran Khan's days are truly numbered? Imran Khan has gone to China to say, save me, give me some money, sustain me, because there are some reports that seem to indicate that Saudi Arabia would well want General Raheel Sharif to take over Pakistan. Will the Pakistan army be in favor of this? Ambassador Parthasarathy.
I think I have a slight variant of what you have said. The message that Sheikh Rashid gave today is directed at Imran Khan. Yes, they're having a problem in finding a successor for him because Nawaz hasn't been particularly reliable as far as the army is concerned, and his daughter is a firebrand like he is. So I think they're also looking for an alternative. But yes, this guy is zero effectiveness now, Imran Khan. He's a lame duck. Second, how he goes or whether he goes or when he goes, this is the issue to be settled, because he has made a fool of himself. He goes to the United Nations and says it will become a nuclear war. Nobody listens to him. And just before all this, Qureshi took up the matter in the UN Security Council. China alone supported them. 14 other members of the UN Security Council said, sorry brother, this is not the time to discuss all this. So I think their diplomatic isolation is telling, and the worst thing for them, ideologically, more than militarily, is Saudi Arabia, the protector of the holy shrines of Islam. They are mythical figures if you talk to the ordinary Pakistani. To be at the receiving end of humiliation from Saudi Arabia is something you can see if you read the Urdu press in Pakistan. That is being referred to.
Yes.
The Saudi anger. Nobody wants Saudi anger. Everybody gets money from Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. Is Saudi anger only increasing? You're absolutely right, sir. Is Saudi anger only increasing, and is that why Pakistan is so desperate? Because even in Pakistan, a lot of commentary, especially in the Urdu press, is that you'd rather be subservient to Saudi Arabia than be subservient to China, because China has been ill-treating Pakistanis. Chinese laborers have been beating up Pakistan army soldiers on ground. Why is Pakistan so desperate? Because Saudi Arabia is twisting Pakistan's tail. Saudi Arabia is telling Pakistan, return our money. They are no longer giving free oil to Pakistan. Unemployment, forex reserves are dwindling to a new low in Pakistan. And that is why Shah Mahmood Qureshi is in China on a bent knee. Take a look at this report.
An economy in shambles. Raging pandemic. Globally isolated. Facing intense scrutiny over rising inflation. Pakistan is in a panic mode. Pakistan tried to bite more than it can chew, threatening Saudi Arabia to convene a meeting of OIC over Kashmir issue. Pakistani Army Chief rushed to Riyadh and sought a meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, only to receive a royal snub. Isolated globally, listening to Imran's own admission that only China is backing Pakistan. While there are no takers for Imran's Kashmir agenda, India sent a strong message to the global community by ordering removal of 10,000 paramilitary forces from the Kashmir Valley, a sign of improvement in the law and order situation. With 150 terrorists killed in deadly encounters, the forces have given a death blow to terror activities planned on Pakistani soil. Bureau Report, India Today.
So Shah Mahmood Qureshi in Beijing wants to make common cause with China on the issue of Kashmir. General Hasnain, should we be worried? Do we see more diplomatic pressure? Do we see more terror? Or do we see more military pressure on the LAC and the LOC?
See, Gaurav, I look at it this way. This seems to be a strategic dialogue, which was perhaps planned earlier. Even if it was not, it is a foreign ministers meeting. In this case, we've just had the Pakistan Army Chief coming back from Saudi Arabia. We've had the Chinese foreign minister just coming back from Lhasa. And obviously, these are the issues which are very much live in their minds, in the minds of both the foreign ministers. And obviously, therefore, they are looking at collusion. They're looking at how they can support each other. I think there has never been a time in which the Chinese perhaps have also needed Pakistan more than what they need them now. And Pakistan is therefore exploiting that situation completely. But what is also including that, what is more important also is that Pakistan seems to be very confident that with Chinese backing, it can start looking at a potential Ottoman kind of a return. This is what is being looked at, what Hussain Haqqani has been speaking of only recently. And therefore it is looking to be aligning itself with the northern elements of the Islamic arc, that is Iran and Turkey.
Okay.
This is what China's future arc also seems to be.
Okay, but will there be consequences for Pakistan? Will there be consequences for China? In your appreciation, Ambassador Parthasarathy, will Saudi Arabia permit Pakistan to do so? That's point one. And point two, the people in Pakistan, would they permit Imran Khan to abandon Saudi Arabia and the Holy Mosque and go with China, a country that ill-treats Muslims?
Look, the fact of the matter is, if the Saudis so choose, don't forget, the Saudi ruler is revered in Pakistan and many other places as the keeper of the holiest shrines of Islam. So Islamic country, especially if it is without petroleum resources and is going around with a begging bowl like Pakistan does, you can't ignore Saudi Arabia. Yes, I think I go along with General Hasnain that there will be a measure of coordination between Pakistan and China, and that is something we have to look out for on our borders. That's certainly General Hasnain has raised a very relevant point in that. But that's for a lookout militarily. China is now also under pressure in the international community because of its aggressiveness. Don't forget, there are 11 countries which are set, either have set themselves or are setting themselves up to file suits against China in the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea. So China also has certain limitations, but they are in an aggressive mood, and
that will be very interesting to watch.
Very
interesting strategic. Yes, but not developments taking place in our region. We'll be tracking that very closely, sir. I've run out of time on the show this evening. We will continue this discussion in the days and weeks to come. But before I go, I want to leave you with images of the French President Emmanuel Macron welcoming the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and how with a traditional namaste. In post-COVID world, perhaps this will once again be the greetings. Take a look at these images.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for the invitation.
No, we are very happy to be here. How are you?
I'm fine. And how are you? You are at the best place in the world.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.